Food wasn't as much the issue as water, because it was very hot and people were sweating and getting dehydrated. They needed to drink, but it was very hard to come by water. There were roadblocks all over the city. They were every 100 meters or so. There were so many bodies from the carnage, from the massacres, that they were even doing roadblocks with the piles of bodies. You understand how difficult it was. But luckily, one day in April, maybe 3 weeks into the month, it might have been the 20th, Carl Wilkens introduced himself to me. He had heard of an orphanage with children in danger who had nothing. Then I explained our situation to him.
Carl Wilkens, perhaps the only American relief worker to stay in Rwanda throughout the genocide, saw his mission to help those in need.
I also told him that we had no milk for the newborn babies at the center. He agreed to help me find it. That was something very difficult to find, with all the looting and all. And we really had no idea where to find milk for the babies. And he managed to find milk and water.
One day in late June 1994, Gisimba left the orphanage to look for supplies. That same day, Wilkens arrived with barrels of water and found the orphanage swarming with militia. Their leader was just getting out of his car.
I walked over, put my hand out, he brushes right past me. He goes to the young brother, and where's the director? He starts, we want the director. And I could pick up occasionally, he'd throw in a French word or so, and then he gets back in his car and he storms off. And the brother tells me, they really want to kill my older brother today. In fact, they're going to kill all of us.
Fearing the worst, Wilkens stayed as long as he could. A few hours later, while the orphanage was still under siege, a group of 7 policemen arrived. They advised Wilkens to speak with senior governmental leaders about the fate of the orphanage.
You got some, hard decisions here to make, because can you trust this man? Some of the police were involved in the killing. Some were saving and protecting people. What do you do? But it seemed like the only route to do was to trust him. The young brother said, "No, don't go. They're going to kill us as soon as you leave." And I said to him, I promised him. I promised him I'll come back. And so it was with this sick mixture of relief and dread that I got in my car and drove away.
Wilkens knew he had to seek help from the most senior Rwandan government official possible. By a stroke of luck, the Prime Minister was in town.
I stood up and I stepped into the middle of the hallway and I put my hand out and I said, "Mr. Prime Minister, I'm Carl Wilkens, the director of ADRA." And he stopped and looked at me. "Yes, I know you. I've heard of your work. How's your work going?" And I said, "Well, actually, Mr. Prime Minister, it's not going well at all." I said, "I just left the orphans surrounded by militia and I feel there's going to be a massacre. What else do you say but the truth and what it is?" And he stopped and he conferred a little bit with someone in his group, and he looked back at me and he says, "Actually, I'm aware of that situation and your orphans will be fine. We will see that they're cared for." So, I mean, those kids could be killed that night, and people would say, "Wilkens went and told the Prime Minister where these kids were and what was going on." Or he could actually do it. He could protect them. I mean, if somebody had the power in the country to do it, he should have.
Gisimba had managed to find sanctuary in a nearby cathedral. As night fell, neither he nor Wilkens knew if they could trust the assurances from the very government committing the genocide.
It was a big disappointment. I kept saying to myself, I did everything that I possibly could, and now it's finished. I will never see my wife, my child again. I will never again see my orphan children. I will never again see any of the others that I tried to save.
In a country where murder had become commonplace, those at the orphanage survived another night without an attack.
Fortunately, the next day I was told that everyone was still alive. It was a bit of a relief, but I feared that even if they had not died that night, something might happen during the day. Fortunately, after 3 days had passed, they came to where I was at Saint-Michel.
As evacuees from the orphanage arrived at the cathedral, the militias were shocked to see so many adults among the orphans.
All of the militias that were there came by. Where did these people come from? They're with Gisimba? Who is this Gisimba? Are you Gisimba? Yes, that's me. What are all these people? They're with me. What's the problem?
The hundreds of children and adults that Damas Gisimba had cared for since the beginning of the genocide were rescued on July 1st, 1994.